Welcome back, and joining me for a closer look at what's played out on the market scene today is Cobus Potgieter from Southern Cross Capital. Thank you so much for your time, Cobus. I must say that the U.S. market surprised me. At some point, it looked like there would be a divergence between the local market and the U.S. markets, but seeing that all the markets have actually staged quite a significant rebound today, the JSE surging almost 3%. What are we seeing here?
It's a double whammy. We saw the local politicians it seems like, level heads are prevailing. We saw both the leadership from the ANC in their typical, scathing way, committing to a resetted GNU, and subsequent to that, DA leader Steenhuisen saying that they are not ready to leave the GNU just like that.
Okay.
And it looks more or less, we can ignore what Mashatile said yesterday. He seems to be part of the reactionary faction, promising an outcome to negotiations by last night, negotiations which clearly haven't really taken place. It looks like we've got a 5-day deadline for a renegotiated GNU, but the level heads are prevailing. Also significantly, more for global markets, is the American Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent essentially saying that negotiations are going well with the countries that have reached out, and it looks like they are willing to do some deals, and the market has taken heart from this and thinking that maybe we're going to land somewhere halfway on tariffs, and this is not the doomsday scenario everybody was anticipating.
That's interesting that other countries are coming to the negotiating table, but not necessarily China at this point, because the US and China don't seem to be talking about any kind of deals. The only deal that they are making is that they will fight in the boxing ring until, I don't know who dies, until one of them dies or until both of them die. China is saying that they will fight till the end. But is the market maybe shrugging that off at this point?
I think the market was starting to price something more severe. To some extent, the trade war with China was already ongoing, frankly, for the last 8 years, and slowly escalating. And what made the latest round of tariffs really strange is that the US was essentially kicking its geopolitical allies, the very allies that it needs to pressure China in front of the bus. Within a day of these ridiculous tariffs being announced, we saw bilateral negotiations between China, South Korea, and Japan looking to increase trade between themselves, given that the US seems to be removing themselves from the party. And that, frankly, is a pretty powerful negotiating position for both South Korea and Japan, given that they are, from a geographical perspective, the US's two most important allies in this Pacific region in particular, which the whole world is anticipating to heat up over the coming decades.
All right. Well, let's bring it back home and take a look at some of the company news that came out on the JSE. We had Cashbuild saying that it is buying a 60% controlling interest in all Buildco holdings. And this is for a price of 93 million rand. Considering the headwinds faced by the building materials sector, is this a good move?
It's quite small. It's a so-called Class 2 transaction, just over 90 million rand. So given their 3.6 billion rand market cap, not that significant. This hardware chain is from my hometown in Pretoria, and it's called Amper Alles Hardeware, which means just about everything hardware, which is quite cute. So it looks like just an accretive bolt-on in terms of increasing their footprint in the target LSM as well. And Cashbuild, one of these local SA Inc. stocks that have sold off a bit, or off the back of fears for poorer economic growth, given both the global and the local backdrops that we've been dealing with for the last week or so. But difficult to say, given that it's so small, it's probably value enhancing. but not enough to really move the needle.
Ah.
Ultimately, they'll have to execute on the grander strategy more broadly and hope for a robust consumer and strong economic growth locally down the line.
Well, Amber Alice is always happening with Steinhoff or Ibex, formerly known as Steinhoff. There was an announcement that was released on the Pepco page. Now there seems to still be a tussle between Ibex and SARS and Ibex now and this company Vista. Could you just simplify that for us? I know that you are picking Pepco as your stock pick, but really what today's announcement was about.
So, just to reiterate what you're all alluding to, this structure was essentially put up and filled with Pepco shares out of the dismantling of Steinhoff, and those were being used to settle outstanding claims, particularly those shareholders that came in through share swap deals that had swapped their PSG shares or their PEP shares for Steinhoff shares during those mergers. And one of the major settlement tranches, quite late to the party, was blocked by the Reserve Bank because of an alleged exchange control violation. This frustrated everyone. To me, I haven't really been able to understand the merits of the Reserve Bank's position, but the way they have conducted themselves and frankly, being asleep at the wheel and 8 years after this process was started, suddenly blocking outcomes that had been approved everywhere else, where they should have been aware of exchange control from 8 years ago and have been a party to those negotiations and to these contracts. So that conduct has been really questionable. But in any case, the point is, this structure was blocked from issuing shares, amongst other things, to this Vista, which is Peter Erasmus's structure. He's, of course, one of those major Pepco shareholders that were bamboozled by the Steinhoff situation. And now they have another agreement with his structure where he gets to subscribe force them to distribute to him. Now, essentially, he's activated this right and taken possession of 60 million shares that are owed to him, notional value around 1.3 billion. That does make sense, given I think his total claim is 1.9 or something. And they've already said that, he's done this in lieu of being able to get the settlement because of the Reserve Bank action, and he's using this as it looks like he's using this as an alternative means, but ultimately they are going to oppose this in court. I'm assuming their interpretation is that the existing hold the Reserve Bank has in place applies to this as well, and they're going to try to reverse this exercise. So the saga goes on, and I guess it's further frustration and further uncertainty, but at least Pepco itself is operating as a reasonably robust business again.
Okay, and that is why you are choosing it as your stock pick for today. I think we have about 20 seconds just for you to elaborate on that some more.
Okay, so part of why I was holding off in the past is because of the continuous uncertainty around when these shares would be placed, and they tend to be sold off very aggressively when they are placed. Given that that is probably going to trickle out and take a very, very long time, I can't stay out of the share forever, and it is sold off aggressively, and it's one of those stocks that are looking very, very attractive at the moment, given the sell-off. Nothing lasts forever, and ultimately we do expect it to turn the curve. It's looking quite cheap at around 23 Rand. And we think there's enormous value and upside in it from this point forward.
Okay, thank you so much for that and for that explanation, Cobus. Really appreciate it. That was Cobus Potgieter from Southern Cross Capital.